Can Saints quarterback Derek Carr lift the New Orleans Saints out of their six-game rut, this six-game losing streak that has all of us quite depressed, quite sad? Today, the backdrop, New Orleans football, and we're going to talk Derek Carr and his return and the impact that it shall have on the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr, all signs point to Derek Carr playing this week against the Carolina Panthers. And boy, do the Saints need Derek. Boy, do they need Derek Carr bad. So let's go ahead and listen and talk about it. Here we go.
The Monday vibe here at Saints Camp after a sixth straight loss. Well, it was a lot more of the same, to be honest. I'm Mike.
Yeah, I mean, look, the vibe's horrific. The vibes are terrible. I mean, it is absolutely doomsday scenario vibe-wise, real bad. All right, a lot of boycott the team, a lot of don't watch this, a lot of just rage and anger, a lot of high blood pressure situations, a lot of people very upset and deserved, no doubt about it. Look, the team is garbage. They're a six-game losing streak. They're playing horrific. We have not been competitive in seemingly forever. It's been ugly, whether it's been prime time against the Chiefs, whether it's been at home against the Bucks, at home against the Broncos, prime time against the Broncos, whether it's been on the road against the Chargers, it's just been, whether Carr's in there, whether Rattler's in there, it's just been a whole bunch of bad. So yes, the vibes are indeed trash.
Triplet, and this is the dot presented by Matt Bauer's Auto Group. I mean, monotony is what we're getting with this team on the field, and hearing kind of the same things after the game is what we're getting too. Everybody's got to be more detailed. It's on the players and it's on the coaches. Everybody has to look at themselves. Am I doing enough? And a lot of expressing confidence that, yes, we can figure this out.
Yeah, I don't know about that part. I think it's all pretty much sunk. I think we're moving into next year. At least I am. At least that's how I see this going. And that's why I think it's interesting, you know, the conversation of like, I know this isn't what this video is about, but the conversation of like, oh, they're just going to run it back next year. In what universe? Like, in what universe is that even possible? Because this team is horrible. Like, this team, how about that catch there with the pen? This team is terrible. You know, like, if we win 5 games, like, thinking of us winning 5 games is absolutely, it's hard to imagine us winning a game, much less 5 games. But if we win 5 games, cool, we're 7-10. Guess what? Dennis Allen's getting fired. If we win 6 games, guess what? We're 8-9. Quick math. Dennis Allen's getting fired. Like, we have to go on a magical miracle run to win 9 or 10 games. Otherwise, Dennis Allen's getting canned. And if Dennis Allen's getting canned, that means a lot of the people attached to Dennis Allen are getting moved. And if we suck that bad, which, spoiler, we do and we will, then a lot of these older contracts and older players, they're not coming back. So this idea of like, yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll just run it back. What? That's not happening. I'll go ahead and tell you what is going to happen. You can go ahead and timestamp this, write this down. The Saints are going to finish somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 wins. Dennis Allen will be fired immediately after the season. Clint Kubiak and Andrew Janocko will be retained. We will hire a retread, defensive-minded-ish coach, a la Mike Vrabel, which is fine with me. We will trim some contracts. Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, Ryan Ramczyk will retire immediately when he can. He will retire. Jamal Williams will be gone. Derek Carr will be moved because of his contract. All that's going to happen. So, under no circumstances do I see this team being saved, being figured out. Do I see this coaching staff or any of this returning? I just do not see a universe, barring a miracle, barring this team coming together and just winning out or something. And all of a sudden, we're looking around and we're 10-7 or 11-6 or whatever, back our way into the playoffs. Unless something absolute miracle like that happens, there's nothing to save. You know, like, what's done is done. Like, it would be like people in the Titanic being like, look, we can get all the pieces out of the ocean and we can rebuild. It's like, brother, no, we cannot. We are sinking. We are going to die. Like, we are sinking in the frigid waters. There are sharks everywhere. What are you talking about? What are you talking about saving the pieces to rebuild? Rebuild where? We're in the middle of the ocean. Like, brother, the violinists are playing. It's over with.
Some of the things in this game were a little different than how the script exactly played out in previous games. As Dennis Allen pointed to, they ran the ball better. They defended the run better. Those were important elements. But then this time, penalties destroyed them more than they ever have before.
Yeah, I mean, and we covered that in the videos we've done so far this week. Like, it was kind of an interesting box score. And as you all know, I do grade the box scores just kind of as I do my prep and I do my research and I start working. I start working sometimes Monday morning, most of the time Tuesday morning, preparing to analyze and research the upcoming week. I mean, it is the amount of time that I put into to the NFL. But the Saints are one of the box scores that I listed as a fake box score. And not that we should have won, but it definitely wasn't. If you just look at the numbers, like it was kind of a weird game where I saw someone in my comments, they were like, we can't run the football. I was like, well, we ran the ball for 5.6 yards a carry. Like, we ran the ball better than the Chargers ran the ball. Like, we averaged whatever 5.5 yards per play. Our defense was actually pretty solid. Like, the defense was the big question coming into this. The run defense was the big question coming into this. They held J.K. Dobbins to nothing. I mean, J.K. Dobbins really couldn't do anything. Certainly didn't look like how J.K. Dobbins did against the Raiders or against the Panthers. Not that it matters, which I said in those videos. Like, at a certain point, like, none of that matters when you're 2-6 and you get beat by 3 touchdowns, and it is what it is. But it is kind of weird where you look at that and you can take more away from the Chargers game than you can from most of the games this year. I mean, besides Carolina, Dallas, and Atlanta, this was probably our best offensive performance, which is absolutely insane for how bad it was. Which is why I'm kind of surprised that, and this is kind of a hot take, maybe not, it's controversial yet brave. I'm kind of surprised that the Chargers game is what has led to this, like, I mean, some people are crying. Some people are actually crying, like, after the Chargers game. Like, but I feel like this all should have been done in the Denver game. Like, the Denver game was the game where it's like, okay, oh my God, this is as bad as it gets. This is absolutely horrible. Like the Chargers game, you can kind of step back and look at some things, and like, I feel much better defensively after the Chargers game than I do after the Broncos game. Yes, it's not good watching Alontae Taylor and Ugo Amadi get absolutely mossed by Ladd McConkey. That's not fun. But I would rather give up those explosive plays. Now, this is, would you rather eat a shit sandwich or shit pasta? But I would rather watch Ladd McConkey do that than watch Javonte Williams and Sean Tucker run for 8 yards a carry. So the defense, run defense-wise, at least existed. So as a performance, if there was a performance or a game to cry, to shed tears, to call for a boycott, whatnot, it would have been the Buccaneers game and it would have been the Broncos game. So maybe this game was just more of like what we have known. I mean, on this channel, we have talked literally twice a day about you can't give up 7 yards per play. You can't give up 7 yards per rush. Every week we say the same thing. And finally, we didn't do that. So, I mean, maybe this is just kind of like the game where people saw what we have been seeing. But, yeah, I mean, it's just gross.
The point is they have a very thin margin for error, and they can't let any of this stuff derail them. One thing that should be different this week, though, is optimism that Derek Carr will play. He's expected to practice Wednesday, and then we'll go from there, Dennis Allen said, but he's optimistic that that is the first step in getting him back on the field. And as we saw with Spencer Rattler being pulled from the game, Allen said he's still high on the talents of young quarterbacks, Rattler and Jake Haener, but he said they need a little more time in the oven still.
No doubt. Yeah, Carr, let me go back to I feel like I was watching a Godzilla movie with the editing.
Will play.
That was crazy. Like the photos, and that was nuts. Carr coming back is cool. Like Carr is a huge upgrade over Rattler, and he's a huge upgrade over Haener. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like, we are better with Derek Carr. But does it really matter? No. Like, it matters in the grand scheme of thing. Does it matter? No. Does it matter for me and you, who has to watch this trash every single Sunday? Yeah, it definitely matters for us, because we can watch Derek Carr, who's, like I said, much better. The team is much better with Carr than it is for than Rattler and Haener. So, yeah, I would rather watch Carr play for sure. So it should make some of that better. It's definitely going to make the team better. Like, we're going to look, I would say we're going to look somewhere in between how we looked against the Chargers and how we looked against the Cowboys. I think that we'll look somewhere in between this Sunday. Like, we will smoke Carolina. We will look pretty good. There will be a bump as far as, like, Carr's back. Like, everyone's kind of healthy. You know, we saw that last week against the Chargers. We saw what some healthy players at important positions can do. It boosted our yards per play a little over a yard. It boosted our yards per rush a yard and a half. Like, it did make an impact, no doubt about that. So add Carr into the mix, who is a enormous upgrade over Rattler. I mean, Rattler was like, I think it was Kevin Cole put out the EPA per quarterback, and Rattler was the only person that Rattler was ahead of was Bryce Young. So Rattler has not been good so far. Carr was top 10 in EPA while he was playing. For a large chunk of that, he was top 5. So to go from 32nd in EPA all the way up to, all the way. And by the way, like, what that means is, like, if Rattler is minus 0.32 EPA, that's like every time he drops back, your negative expected points. Whereas when Carr drops back, if Carr is 0.20, then you're expecting to get 0.20 of a point every time Carr drops back, which over the course of a game is how you get to 20-something points, whatever. So it's a huge upgrade. It's an enormous upgrade. So that's good. Like, as far as a fan watching, that's good. Now, some people are going to say, well, that's actually bad. They're playing 7D chess because it's actually bad, because if we're playing better, then that's not going to get Dennis Allen fired fast enough. To that, I say, I don't think there's any way, unless, again, Saints go on some miracle run like the Mets did this year in baseball. Unless the Saints go on some miracle run, Dennis Allen's getting fired. Unless the Saints go on some miracle run, there's turnover. Like, it's over. The music's playing. The ship is sinking. It is time now to shed contracts, to get rid of old players, to get better, to get more impactful. You're going to hear a lot of lip service from Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen in these interviews that we cover every single week, but truth of the matter is, like, they know. Like, that Chargers game, they know. The Chargers game, if you beat the Chargers, all of a sudden you're 3-5. You've got divisional game against Carolina coming up. You got Atlanta at home. You're one game behind in the division. You can make some things happen. Can't really make that happen at 2-6. So, it is what it is. But so I think they know behind closed doors, like, okay, the season's kind of over. We're kind of cooked here. What are we going to do moving forward? We've talked about this a million times, but you can't fire Dennis Allen and bring in, like, you're not going to bring in Mike Vrabel or whoever now, so, like, so I think that's what's happening. Carr does provide a boost. Will he save the season? Maybe from just a watchability standpoint. Maybe just so we're not sitting there, dreading watching the game. Maybe just seeing something positive. But as far as long-term, is he going to save anything long-term? No, he's not. I mean, if I was a betting man, I would bet that Derek Carr's not a New Orleans Saint next year. No, to no fault of his own. It's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So I don't think he'll be a Saint next year. I don't think. I would bet a tremendous amount of money that Dennis Allen is not the head coach next year, regardless of or irregardless, as some of my friends say, but regardless of what happens. So I kind of think it's cool he's back, but save the season? I don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, Get on down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Will Derek Carr save the Saints season? What are we thinking? Get on down there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.